Buckeyes,
Guys!
2024 national champions. How's that sound, Schlegs? Pretty sweet.
Sounds freaking beautiful, man. Music to my ears. Been a long journey, been a long year. Excited for those men and those coaches.
It was amazing. Before we get into the game, later in the night, I got Schlegs. I've got some championship confetti right here, Buckeyes. As I'm coming back from, I don't even know, Pat, you can probably dig it up. As I'm literally driving back from the airport, my wife picked me up, and we got in the middle of the Buckeye caravan. They were right behind. They pulled up right in front of us as we're cruising along. Courtney kept getting right up on them. I'm like, the dudes are going to put you into the wall. So we followed them all the way to 315 and then watched them go. So I got some of the stuff posted on Instagram, post some more on Twitter with that. Just super excited. And then, just like, this is why I wanted you, because those guys love you so much. And just hugging Cody Simon after the game, talking to his mom, Lathan Ransom, about everything that they've done, what they've been through, all the ups, all the downs, hanging out with old Billy Howard after the game at about 3:30 in the morning. Him and Seth are just sitting there talking, and Will is dating Seth's girlfriend's sister now. And I go, Seth, that's a great plan. I'm like, you can't have your in-laws be douchers. You need to be able to strategically pick your family members so that you want to get together on holidays. I told his girlfriend, I go, you don't want him not wanting to hang out with your sister, so have her date a good dude.
Right.
And so it was awesome. Just going around, kept calling me Coach Bob. I'm like, I don't coach anything, man. I'm just here for you guys as assistants, seeing the relief, and the excitement roll off Ryan's face. I think a lot of the players were excited. I think with Ryan, there was an excitement and a little bit of relief Schlegs that comes with that. You have to apologize. I was rolling off like 90 hours of sleep, but I did get another probably 90 minutes on the plane coming back. By the way, Hartfield Airport, I don't even know what Atlanta does. I don't think they understand how security is supposed to work. Schlegs. They had lines zigzagging, meandering all around. I'm like, where's TSA? They're like, it's all one line. I'm like, what about priority boarding? It's all one line. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
By the way, Schlegs, it was a line that was like 400 yards long. There was like 3 or 4 of them. And that wasn't even you couldn't even see the little switchbacks and the ropes before that. That was just to get to an area that would have been normal security. So Buckeyes. It was all there. It was all in play.
Tell a little bit about more of the emotion on the field, because you had a media pass. You were out there. Talk about the ebbs and flows.
They had all your boys back, Schlegs. I call it the early urban crew. Tyquan Lewis, Chase Young, who's a little bit older, Zeke, Von Bell.
Tyquan and all them were before Chase.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Way before Chase. Chase is one of the younger guys that was there. Yeah. Raekwon was there. Cooper, Jonathan Cooper was there. I was talking to Cardell. I'm trying to think who. Malik Harrison was back. All of these. There was Zeke, of course. All the whole crew. And so it's great talking to those guys while the game was going. Zach Harrison, while the game was going on, and everything, and just feeling the excitement and the emotion, man. When they went running out, Schlegs, it was like a heart attack. It was like getting hit with the defibrillator paddles. And then when Notre Dame drove down the field, that first drive, Schlegs, 10 minutes, 18-play meat grinder, right to just sand your face off. And I'm like, this isn't very good at all. This is terrible. There are two, because I was talking with Zach, you don't see drives like that in the NFL. And Zach's like, I had to be 10, 12 plays ago. There was 2 fourth downs they converted. that's 8 plays right there. I go, it was 15 plus. And kept it rolling. But unbelievable job for them to come out and then answer the bell. And they get a first down, get the drive rolling, bingo, bango, bongo, touchdown, get a stop, touchdown, get a stop, touchdown, get a stop. And then you're staring at 21-7, feeling pretty darn good about it. And then after the game, obviously, by the way, it got to a 1-possession game. So, good for Marcus, came back there. And Ryan, for a guy that they talked about against Michigan, coaching scared Schlegs, what do you do? I don't know if on a 3rd and 11 I'm making that call. Let's run some crossers. Let's try to get something and see if we can get our guy to catch it and maybe pick it up. and he just makes the house call to Jeremiah, and my goodness, basically ends the game because they're on the 10-yard line. And so then you kind of have that feeling of relief after they make the field goal and go back up 11 points. But just after the game, like being there and like seeing Nina Day, watching Ryan like jump all over, like just jumping in the arms of all of his teammates. And you were there, and like, we won one. I won one with Trask. You won one as a coach with Urban. Like, everybody's different, as far as how they're going to interact and what they're going to do. And you can only ask people to be themselves. And like, that is Ryan. That is authentically Ryan. That is the relationship that he has with those guys. And, and Jack Sawyer and, Cody Simon and all of those guys there. I mean, Caleb jumped on my back when he came back after a meeting. And like, Caleb's more of a reserved dude. Like, he's not even wired like that. He's like, bang, jump. Like, gosh, like you're just so happy for them, because the long journey, and all the flack that was thrown at Ryan. And so to get them there, like in that moment of like just jubilation, dude, I mean, I was up at 5:30 that day to do my local show. I did take a nap. I got a workout in, but I was at the stadium at 2. Like, I was at the stadium for almost 12 hours. I didn't get back Schlegs until like 1:45, enough to get a couple drinks to the bar. And it makes like all of that worth it. Ryan getting ran into a wall and almost losing a foot by a golf cart. Which, see that, by the way?
I reposted it. That was comical. That's a big golf cart.
Schlegs, think about how many times you've been riding in a golf cart with your foot just like hanging out the side.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude, he would have been done. Like, that.
The best was when it did happen and he hit it. He just kind of looked over and was like really? Like,
well, then at the end, I don't know how much you have. Like, she takes off and just like leaves. Like, dude, she freaking hit and run. You just randomly bury that into the wall. And like, okay, yep, all right, I'm out of here. Like, we're done.
We're just laughing about all this stuff. And here's the thing: we're just laughing about it because at the end of the day, they won a national championship. You know what I mean? And
Ryan didn't break his leg.
Ryan didn't break his leg, but you're absolutely right about just like all of his guys would take a bullet for Ryan Day. Yeah. Like, they love him. I mean, the Gatorade bath at the end, like when he threw his headset up and like over the guys. I mean, it's just like done. It's over. Just how that feeling must have felt for him, because again, it's not just the season. It's everything that transpires before the season. It's the portal. It's talent acquisition. It's the offseason. It's spring football. It's the summer. It's the second portal. It's all of those things. It's the battle of attrition. It's losing 2 starters on the offensive line and then guys stepping up and then, the Oregon game and hard conversations with the defensive staff. And then it's the Michigan game, hard conversations as a team. Then it's let's go on a run. And then just how they took care of business in the gauntlet. I mean, if you think about it, you had Indiana, you had Penn State, you had Michigan, you had Tennessee, you had Oregon, you had Texas, you had Notre Dame. That's the last part of your schedule. And to be able to go out there and do that, and obviously the one loss, but like the run that they had in the college football playoff, the how they did it in the college football playoff, and then just like in this game is comical because I'm watching it with just my family. We're here, we're Buckeyes. Sam's running around. Like, dude, every time when your brother and sister were young, they would run around the house, do a lap. I'm like, you got to do it. He's wearing like a Schlegel jersey. Like, go run a lap. He's juiced up. And then like in this, we talked about like the middle 8, and we talked about how Notre Dame would have a chance in this. And they took all of that away. They won the middle 8, 14-0, right? You score before half on a 4-something minute drive. You gave them a couple of seconds left on the clock at the end of the second quarter. You go out, you score again. You're up 31-7. Then they go down and they have a drive. And literally in that moment of the fourth quarter, we saw, and kudos to Marcus, like, hey, we got one. They got to get 3 more. It's just like breaking down the game into the chunks that you can actually control. We got one. We got one. I love that. Great job, Marcus. And then he talked literally on by the reporter, like, hey, man, we got to get a stop. We got to get off the field. We need a turnover. It's been one of the best turnover defense.
Turnover now defense. Turnover now.
Oh, my gosh. Right? And of all the people, Emeka, 2nd and 8, great catch and run, Guy hits it, knocks it out.
Well, game's over, dude. You're getting another touchdown, field goal at a minimum.
Over, and that kind of kept him in it because people were like hitting back and forth. Why are we playing conservatively? Like we weren't. They were doing everything that you needed to do to go. The fumble stops you from putting the pedal to the metal. Then they missed the field goal on that one, which, you've been really good on fourth down. Why? But you did it. I get it.
It's 4th and 9, though. Like if people
trust me, I understand. I would have done. I get it. I would have done the same thing, right? 4th and 9. It's like, do you get that versus that defense who's been again the number one defense in the red zone the entire season? It's like, let's just take a quick 3 because it's a chip shot. You know what I mean? So why not? Little did he know he would doink off. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's over. It's over. But then you go back and you still got to play the game. And you go through, and then now it's 3rd and 11, and you go down and you throw, or third, whatever it was,
3rd and 11.
And you throw that ball. But the best part about that route was what Emeka did to the guy, because they had 3 guys over there. And I don't know what they were kind of trying to do, but here's the deal, and I've seen it all year in practice. I don't care what kind of cushion you give Jeremiah Smith. The dude shin angles, he's going to outrun. If you backpedal, he's outrunning you. That's just a fact. So, boom. And it was a great ball by Will. And this goes back to something I was talking about with Ben Hartsock on the Big Ten show that he does this morning. And it's just
they
had me on. They had me on today. So
Buckeyes.
Will Howard.
I was out with them too.
Let's talk about this, man. Like Will Howard, and they were talking about Kyle McCord and Will Howard, and I don't want to even go into that comparison, but I want to talk about the growth of Will Howard and the coaching at Ohio State and why it matters in the development of that. Listen, we got a guy that came in here that was a 61% completion guy when he was at Kansas State. The guy just set the record at Ohio State for highest completion percentage, greater than that of C.J. Stroud. He had the highest ever of 12 for 12 in a national championship game.
13.
13 of 13, right? Like the dude was 17 of 21 for 231, rushed for 57 yards. Like he did everything that you wanted to do. But most importantly, the thing that I thought Will did the best, and I saw it in the way, I literally saw it. I remember the moment. And it was when he was doing a lat pull down, and he had Tyreek, and I think Jack and JT were there, and they were doing culture reps, and the dude's just spitting, foaming out of his mouth, getting an extra rep for his teammate. They're there to encourage him. Like, that son of a bitch is all in. That's what you want in your quarterback. Because when you go back and you think of the national championship quarterbacks that we've had in the last 25 years at Ohio State, there's Craig Krenzel, there's a Cardale Jones that filled in for a JT Barrett, that filled in for a Braxton Miller in 14. And then now you got Will Howard. Of all the quarterbacks that have transpired, those are the ones that have won a natty at Ohio State. Commendable job, but he can only do it because of the teammates that he had surrounding him. And it's the same thing for all of those guys on those teams that won a national championship. But just tip of the cap, because when you needed him on a first down run or to extend the chains, like he did it for you. And on the deep ball, you couldn't have thrown a better deep ball to Jeremiah Smith in that scenario. Didn't have to break stride, didn't have to come back for the ball. 3rd and 11, game over, right? So what a great game.
Unbelievable. You talked about a culture rep here, Schlegs. Before we get to a break, we got some more time. What is a culture rep? Define to the folks what a culture rep is. And it's something in the weight room, but what is that?
Yeah, it was just something where, we always had just like a +2, right? So you're going through your sets and reps, and it's just like, I just want a little bit more strain.
So where's the origin, Schlegs, of the +2?
Well, I mean, that goes 4 to 6 seconds, A to B +2. That goes back to a mentality with Coach Meyer, right? And just playing through the whistle. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when I think it was Austin.
The +2 was the last 2 wins of the season. That was where the +2 would come.
No. The +2 was, I'm going to go 4 to 6, A to B +2. I'm going to go through the whistle, the last chirp of the hawk call, so to speak, before it ends, right? I'm going 2 steps forward. I'm going to finish the play. And that's kind of where it came through, just being finishers. And so within the weight room, not on everything, but on certain things in there would be a +2 set, right? And it's just the ability to strain, the ability to hold on a little harder. It might have been a forced eccentric rep. It might be that the weight's too light. I got to get a couple extra because you got more in the tank and I want you to finish it. Then the guys, the leadership of that group literally said, no, man, we're going to call these culture reps. I remember Mick like, hey, that was them. Like they came up with that culture rep thing. And it just kind of like permeated throughout the remainder of the offseason. But that's where the magic happens. That you take that happened in January through March, and then you go into the practice that I was there, I believe that was the Thursday.
Yep.
Was the individual period of the tight end group talking to Coach Bailey like, hey, we're going outside to do Indy, like in the snow. Just more of the mindset, whether it's a culture, it was a culture of the power of that unit that we're going to go out there and we're just going to do things just a little bit harder to make us sharper for the game. That's just what we're about, And then you see that. Then you watch like huge blocks. That goes back to power of the unit and Locke and Trey and just their mindset of it doesn't matter whether I have the ball or I don't have the ball. I'm constantly going to add value to my teammate. That's a culture rep. They did it within themselves, but like that stuff builds and builds. And then when you're in between the lines, it comes out into how you perform. Like that's the why. As much as everybody wants to talk sets and reps, the magic of college football and strength and conditioning in college football is that because the attitude, intensity, and the culture in which I train carries over more than sports specificity and all this other bullshit that people like to say. You're going to have that in a great program. But that teammate on teammate, dude accountability to one another.
Dude on dude accountability, Schlegs.
They had a great nugget at the very end. They're talking about the faith base of this team and what it does. But Q even talked about it himself when he had a great thing. It's just the servant mentality that nobody is greater than the team. We're all there for each other into how we can add value and serve one another, whether that's to be the best version of themselves or whether I got to go block on this play, catch a ball on this play, sit out a rep on this play. It doesn't matter. And then I'm also going to be my teammates' biggest fan and watch them perform. Like that to me is the beauty of this. That's why you see the enthusiasm from the players to their coaches because they're all bought in. They're all coaching with a sense of urgency because they know they got to extrapolate the greatness out of their players. And consequently, great players want to extrapolate the greatness out of their coaches. Like that's a feed me mentality on both sides. And it's just beautiful to watch in this now 16-game, 12-team playoff. Didn't disappoint college football season.
Absolutely. We got a lot more coming at you here. The chat, Schlegs, is alive and well. We got a lot of stuff, a couple questions we're going to answer in there, including two important ones. One about Notre Dame, Marcus's decision, and a question about that players-only meeting with Ryan Day. We'll get to those questions for you next and keep breaking down this 2024-2025 national championship game, the run that was on. Before we get out of here, take a break. Attention, parents, athletes, protect what matters most with Export mouth guards. They're trusted by professional athletes and designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouth guards are scientifically tested to absorb the high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouth guards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including patented use of carbon fiber. They 3D print that bad boy right to your grill, which means more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication. Not like Lou Holtz, like. So you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety. Visit exportguards.com/Bobby. Save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby. Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.
I love you, Cleveland.
All right, welcome back in the Bobby Carpenter Show, and we got the chat alive and well. We just kind of discovered that, Schlegs. You stumbled on it last week, and we appreciate everybody's interaction. Sticking with us today a little bit later than normal. We had to fly back, and worked out really well because I was able to hop on in there and use the police motorcade for the team to kind of follow them back in to 315 to Lane, and watching them turn down there and just be able to celebrate and everything they were a part of. But one of the questions was like talking a little bit, Schlegs, about Marcus's decision to kick that field goal and why you do it at that point in time. And, you know, I think you're sitting there looking at it, and what was it? It was 31-15 at that point.
It was, yes.
31-15. So you're down 16 points. And you're thinking, okay, if we get the field goal, we cut it to 13. That maybe gives us a little room. If they kick a field goal, it's still a 2-possession game. Or if we score 2 touchdowns, we can probably win it. I don't know if you'd have time for 2 touchdowns or a touchdown, 2 field goals, maybe not 3 possessions, but who knows? But it was 4th and 9. And that, to me, like, you talk about how good Notre Dame was on 4th down. Notre Dame was one of the best 3rd and 4th down teams in college football in short yardage. In their 3rd down, Schlegs, you get 3rd and 7 plus. I think their conversion rate was like 15%. And that's in the field. Red zone's even harder because then you don't even have the option to throw that Jeremiah Smith deep ball because you have the 12th defender who's the back line. So the fact that it was 4th and 9, I think, dictated more with how Notre Dame played, what they're good at, and how much time was left. But that was kind of the last piece. Like, if it was a chance where you knew you only had 2 possessions, I think you have to go right there. But you're thinking you can steal a third if you can get a stop, get some points, keep the momentum going, and keep putting pressure on Ohio State. And I was sitting there with Jim Tressel, and he goes, I like this, the kick. Now, you don't like it when you miss it, but his argument, it was like, you keep trying to constrict this for Ohio State. Make them keep playing football. Make them beat you. And that's something that Notre Dame has done all year long, and ultimately they did force Ohio State into a position where they had to beat them.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And you look at where they were on 3rd down, Bob, and you said it when they got off of the timing of it, and they alluded to this on the sportscast, which I thought was good. But when they got out of the timing and didn't get into 3rd and manageable, they were 5 and 12, and I believe most of those conversions happened on that first drive. And again, guys, we go back and you look at this game. I mean, Ohio State outrushed them 214-53. 44 of that yards came on the first drive. So kudos to the defense because, again, the breakdown, and people were asking this in the chat, like, where was the breakdown of this defense? The breakdown of the defense was you had a couple of penalties and you had some uncharacteristic open field missed tackles on some guys, especially like that 34-yard touchdown to Greathouse, right? Like a couple of times where the tight end ran a little bit further than he should on a tackle. But other than that, they tackled fairly well. They did what they wanted to do, which was stop the run. But they did that because they got up, and it changed the dynamic of what Notre Dame wanted to do. Let's go back to that field goal. You make that field goal, you're down 13. Well, then if you score, you go for 2, you miss it. That's okay. You still got your 6. You got to score again, and now you can kick a field goal to tie, right? Or if you do make it, you score a touchdown, you kick a field goal, and you extra point, and you win. So I totally get it. You're not going to sit there and say, man, we should have done it. 4th and 9 with our defense, you go down there and then you get nothing, which, again, they did. That's hindsight 2020 saying, well, then you should have just went for it. Like, you trust your kicker. Your kicker before just made a big-time kick the week before, right? He struggled growing at the beginning of the season. Then he got hot as of late. You expect him to make that. So that's kind of the thought process in there. They weren't trying. I think that's, you're just kind of splitting hairs as to what happened there. But still, Ohio State had to go down and win the game. And on that long pass, boom, then you kick a field goal. Now you're up 11, game over. Yeah,
so I get it. And that's kind of the logic behind it. And like you said, if they're still down 8, you get that field goal, it's 5. A touchdown ultimately changes that game. It's a big difference for you if you're Notre Dame. and you hate to play results with it. The other question that came out is someone asked when they're going to hear more about that players-only meeting where Ryan Day was in there. And I think you've heard stuff leak out about it. If you go to Jack's article about the Players Tribune, Schlegs, where he was talking about that, and to paraphrase, some of the stuff that happened, and it said after Jack's article, I mean his words, after the team up north game, we gave ourselves all a week to digest it. Then we had a meeting, players only plus Coach Day, and like everything else in our program, that meeting wouldn't have made for a great movie. It wasn't a bunch of egos flying around or big speeches. It was just a little more like some family conversations. Don't get me wrong; those are grown man family conversations. Guys were upset, frustrated, tempers flared, it got heated. Some difficult questions were asked, and no one shied away from anyone, especially not Coach Day. And that's a credit to him under those circumstances. When he goes on to talk about obviously the criticism that he'd been getting, across the city of Columbus and statewide, nationally, whatever. But I think that speaks to what happened in that, Schlegs, where everybody went out there. They probably asked Ryan, why did we do some of these things against Michigan? Why did we call it why did we play it like this? Why were some of the decisions? And as a head coach, you can either kind of abdicate responsibility, and be, well, we got to execute better. Yeah, executing better is part of it. No coach ever calls a play they don't think is going to work. It's about the execution. But also, did you put yourself in position to be the most successful? And were you sticking with your core beliefs and tenets that you had established all year about how you wanted to play and how you wanted to play aggressively? And so I'm guessing some of those things, that's what transpired. Those were the conversations. And so as everybody looks at this and is like, hey, I want to hear more about it. I'm like, that is, you are hearing about it. I don't think they're ever going to give you, Schlegs, a word for word of what happened, but I think that's as close as you're going to get.
Yeah, I think too, guys, in this type of meeting, very, very different. I've talked about it quite a bit. This generation wants to know the why, and I think there's no reason that you can't articulate the why. And I think as a coach,
well, if you're trying to skirt responsibility, then I think you can do that. But Ryan, that's not right.
But it's not right, right? I think that he's very honest and transparent, or had a great very transparent in where they and the things that transpired in that loss. And I think when you're able to articulate your why and why it didn't work, or why you thought it could have worked, and maybe there was some execution, but it's also the ownership is always on him. He's always taken out. And matter of fact, Jack alluded to it in his article, where it always falls on him when the players don't necessarily execute. And when they do execute, it's always on the players, because he wants to glorify and allow them to reach their goals. He talked about that after the game. But I think that when you are honest and authentic and transparent, and why I love this matchup, because you have two guys, Bob, you and I played with Marcus, very authentic, has made Notre Dame likable again because you like Marcus and everything he stands for. Same thing for Ryan Day, why these guys wanted to stay, why these guys wanted to battle so hard and play for him. And you came out of that meeting, the biggest thing that you come out of that meeting with is clarity of purpose. So now the season is over. So yes, we've taken ownership of our faults, both as players and coaches. Here's what we're going to do moving forward. And Jack alluded to it. We chose option B, which would be the team that we all believe that we are. And guess what? They went out and they demonstrated that week in and week out for 4 weeks in the run that they made to win the college football playoff versus Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame. And honestly, at the end of the day, why do you need to know more? I don't want to know any more about the conversations that transpired in there. All I know is that it happened, and you see the results collectively as a team. And I believe, too, in that meeting, the mindset shift of what we heard prior to, hey, we got to, natty or bust, that went out the window. It became focused on living where your feet are. Why are we doing what we're doing? We're doing it for one more opportunity to wear the scarlet and gray. We're doing it for one more opportunity to go out there and play together with my teammates. That's our why. That's very tangible. That's something that you can there's no light at the end of the tunnel at the end of the season. It's one game at a time. But with that mindset shift, I think that's what allowed them to be able to go on this run.
Absolutely. All right. Take another quick break. We got more of the Bobby Carpenter Show coming up next.
the Big Play Sports Network. Download the free app today to watch all of your favorite hosts on demand.
I'm Garage Beer, and this is Bobby Carpenter.
Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer.
Beef with an F? Okay, my bad. It's crisp and cool, and it doesn't taste like. I'm Bobby Carpenter. I drink in garages because my wife says I don't belong inside. If you like a cold breeze on your bag, drink Garage Beer. It's American, and so can you. Garage Beer. Beer flavored beer. All right, Schlegs, let's look at some of the metrics of this game.
Yep, do it.
I always like going in, like getting to the numbers, like, hey, there was things that we said they needed to do. Turnover battle. Well, Ohio State turned it over, and Notre Dame didn't. And in the 3 games that they've had together, and Tress and I were talking about this, only one, that's the only turnover they had. Very clean games, and that came late. And the other thing it took points off the board for you, but you didn't give Notre Dame a short field. Like the fumble was deep down.
Yeah, they had to go earn it.
So they had to go earn it. You didn't give them the strip sack like Georgia on the 12-yard line. It's one play and a touchdown. Like you were going to make them drive it and you're going to make them earn it. But it did kind of kill some momentum with that.
Because right there you're going to go up 38-15 probably at that point, right? Game out of reach. Remember, that was a continuation right into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and you're rolling. You got that momentum back again. Will threw for 231 yards. Did a heck of a job. And obviously, Jeremiah, the 56-yarder. I thought they were incredibly efficient with their passing. Schlegs. You saw this. Notre Dame chose to play a decent amount of man. They played some zone too, but when they played man, you saw the crossers, the rub routes, all of those things, and Will being incredibly accurate with his ball placement and allowing guys to get rack and run after the catch. Jeremiah Smith and Mecca, and then Carnell Tate just always pops up. It's 2 catches for 35 yards. They're big catches. They're ones that gash you. And so I thought that the plan in the passing game was pretty good. Like they weren't taking a ton of shots over the top, didn't until the end, but they did stuff that got the chains moving, and they ran a lot of crossers, which were great against zone.
Well, what else it did was it opened up for Will to be able to move the chains.
Yeah.
You look at the one, and here's again, it's the culmination of Will moving the chains and running that opened up, bringing up the linebackers and leaving Q open for the touchdown where he dumped it off, right? Just his presence of being able to run the football more so than he had previously started to get those guys to bite up on him, and that's what allowed that to happen. So when you go man and your backs are turned and you get able to step up in the pocket or roll out of the pocket, Will did a really nice job of just taking what they gave you. And if they're going to give you a first down to move the chains, I'm going to go get it. And that's what we kind of saw in this game, which was the ability to sustain drives. And ultimately, they won the turnover. They won the time possession, 32.5 to 27.5.
Yeah.
Right?
Which was big because Notre Dame had been a team that had possessed the ball on people.
Think about their first drive, Bob. 9:45, 18 plays. I literally wrote down they just stole 2 possessions. But then throughout the rest of the game, Ohio State got those back and were able to control the time of possession.
And ultimately, too, the reason Ohio State had such a good time of possession, their third down efficiency was off the charts on offense. 9 of 12, 75% Schlegs. And so when you keep those chains moving, and it was really critical after that opening drive by Notre Dame, because you think about that, Notre Dame held the ball for 27 minutes. They basically had it for 18 after the first drive.
Yep.
The first drive, like right out of the jump, they had that. And then they had it for 18 minutes, basically the rest of the game. So Ohio State kept getting the job done on third down. And whether that was Will using his legs, whether it was crossing routes, it was very, very impressive. The penalties came back to bite you a little bit. You had some penalties that you probably wish you had back. It wasn't a perfect game by Ohio State by any stretch, but it was one that was very impressive. And then you go, Schlegs, and you look to the running backs. And this is what was amazing. You have had this 1-2 punch all season long of Travion and Quinshon. And usually Quinshawn's been getting some of the harder yards. Trey's been getting the big home runs. And man, Schlegs, when Trey hits the hole full speed, I'm like, dude, I'm just like on the edge of my seat. Like, is that guy going to get there on the angle? Because if he doesn't, it's over. It is over. And Notre Dame, the number 0 for him, Xavier Watts, he's a hell of a football player.
Really good.
I mean, I think he caught Trey on the one that went out the back door. And I was sitting there with I forget who I was talking to, maybe Von Bell, and he's like, man, that guy looked fast. I'm like, dude, that's Trey's hauling. Nobody catches Trey on angles like that. Like Xavier Watts is a hell of a football player. But those guys, Schlegs, the 1-2 punch of Quinshawn and Trey, I thought was incredibly effective in this game.
Yeah, really effective. And it's been that way all year to allow them to be fast and violent. And, to your point of this game, Bob, like you had the first one, but I don't – sometimes like we can forget how elite this team has been. If you go back and you think about this, every game in the college football playoff run, guys, they scored on their opening possession. And that really deflated. Like Notre Dame goes down, takes 9:45, 18 plays. Guess what Ohio State offense does? Boom, touchdown, 3 and out, touchdown, boom, 3 and out, touchdown. Okay, then you go to break, touchdown. Their 4 first possessions were touchdowns. If you think about it. Like, that's unheard of, So the offense really helped the defense in that fact because, you gave up a one. I said they lost the battle, right? Ohio State on that first drive, they lost that particular battle. How did they respond? They responded by the offense picking them up.
Yeah, they retrenched, and then they put together Schlegs their own 11-play 6-minute drive.
Yeah, exactly.
I go, if nothing else, they need to get 2 first downs here to give this defense some reprieve because Riley Leonard, those boys are running downhill now. Notre Dame, give them a lot of credit. Their offensive line did a really good job early on of blocking guys up. I mean, they got good push. They're a tough, physical, well-coached group. And this Ohio State defense, we know how good they are. And Notre Dame, I mean, they came to play. Like they were not about to be intimidated. But Schlegs, think about this. It was 3 possessions in Ohio State in the first half. 3 possessions. Yeah. Like that's it.
That's it.
It's a wild game. And that is with 2 3-and-outs by Notre Dame. Like the one monster drive, but that is some wild crap. There was only 6 full possessions in the first half, 2 of them 3-and-outs for Notre Dame, and Ohio State scoring touchdowns of 11, 10, and 12 plays on the rest of them. But after Notre Dame controlled that opening drive and really the first quarter, I mean, Ohio State, the second and early third belonged to them. And that's that middle 8, and that was the response that you were looking for. All right, we got a lot of headlines coming out.
Hey, time out. Hang on, Bob. Hey, you brought it up. And again, credit to Notre Dame and their offensive line because they had some injuries. But guys, I don't want to miss the fact that you lost a first-round draft pick in Josh Simmons. You lost a Remington Award winner in Seth McLaughlin, going to about ready to marry a Sarah McLaughlin, so there'll be 2 of them in the world. And then you had Carson Hentzman, you had Austin, you had Luke, you had Tegra over there in the guards. Luke, 51, getting a second start, 51 for life. Guys, they ran for 214 yards on Notre Dame's defense to Notre Dame's 53. Kudos to them. Kudos to Coach Fry. Kudos to Chip Kelly and what they've been able to do. But more importantly, to the guys in the offensive line. And the one guy that I think really made this all work is Donovan Jackson going from guard to tackle. Fryer, hey, you're my guy. You're gas station ready. You're Waffle House ready. I love you. Okay, but Donnie being able to go over there and understand that they had some pieces in the middle that they can move around to allow their offensive line to gel together to make this kind of run. Kudos to him, but kudos to our offensive line being able to rush for 214 against Notre Dame. And we said it last week, Bob, Nittany Lions rushed for 204 is going to be a deciding point in this game.
And they went out there and obviously the long one that was ripped. But you're correct in saying we'll get into everything. We got our headlines coming up next. There's a ton of stuff and a ton of news we have to get to the rest of this week. It is a robust time. Keep the chat alive. Keep throwing those questions out there. We'll get some more of your questions coming at you in Tailgate Talk. More of the Bobby Carpenter Show and headlines coming up next. All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show. And well, Ryan Day may have wanted to know where Lou Holtz was last year after the Notre Dame game. G. Scott wanted to know where Emmanuel Acho was after the Notre Dame game. And this is what we love, is when guys come to support each other. G. Scott, great Christian dude, heck of a player, did a great job this year. Filling in there. My goodness, I'm getting all these freaking calls coming at me, Schlegs.
That's
coming
okay.
Thick and fast.
You're so hot right now.
Yeah, that Hansel's so hot. I got some sort of FaceTime video even coming at me. But it said someone asked Emmanuel Acho who's the worst quarterback left in the CFP. He blocked me. And I don't know if you remember. I mean, we talked about
I remember.
About Schlegs. Hey, there's 4 quarterbacks left. Will Howard's the worst of the 4. Yeah, right. I mean, the dude, we'll get into some of the records and some of the things that he's done with everything. Oh, my gosh, Schlegs. I'm getting freaking hit up.
You're so hot right now, man. You're like Hansel. You're like Hansel.
Yeah. But, dude, listen, I'm getting hit up by the McAfee show. So they want to have me on right here. So I don't even know what I'm about to do, Schlegs.
You should go on there, and I'll just do this thing.
I'll just take the reins here. Mute me out. Oh gosh.
Get on there. Do something here. This is what we're gonna do right now into the chat. We're gonna take a break, Pat. I want you to go in the chat. I want you to fire away questions right now, and I'm gonna answer them as soon as this break happens. Tack it down.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.
I love you, Cleveland.
All right, hey, I'm by myself. Bobby Carpenter Show. Let's talk about Real Truck. I don't have my hat on me because I'm wearing this, and it's right after Labor Day. So everybody knows you can wear white after Labor Day if you can squat over 500 pounds and deadlift over 6. That's a fact. But Real Truck, we wanted to share an offer our friends at Real Truck are making for our loyal listeners now through the end of the year. Wow, it's still going. I mean, this is honestly to the end of like 25. It's in perpetuity. Get your truck, Jeep, Bronco. I like that they put that. They don't even put Tacomas in there. I got a little Tacoma. I drive a Chevy diesel, by the way. Accessories for yourself or as a gift to somebody else over the season. Over to realtruck.com and make a purchase of $100 or more, and they're going to give you a free Real Truck hat. It's camouflage, has a black R on it. It looks sweet. I left it in Ohio because I kept bending it all the time. Simply type in the code Bobby, all caps at checkout. That's realtruck.com. Purchase $100 or more. Use the code Bobby and get a Real Truck hat for free. Bring your truck to life. My truck, super outfitted. There you go. So I'm going to go and check. First, I want you to throw up on there Donnie. Okay, the first one I highlighted, Pat, of Donnie. All right. And here's the thing with Donnie. All right. In this one, let me go find my deal. Donovan Jackson. Okay, Silver Bulletin put this out there. So Donovan Jackson saved the Ohio State season through moving from guard to left tackle. He did it against elite defenses. That's absolutely correct. He did. Raised his draft stock and became a champion. Here's where I look at that. You guys got to understand this. In the NFL, the more value that you can add, the better you will be, especially when you're a guard that can also play tackle. You're in the mix. But of your draft stock, like we know that Donnie is a guard. He's a dude mover. But just his ability that allows you to go out and play tackle elevates your stock especially if you're even. If there's another guard and there's you and you guys are dead even when it comes to being draftable, who are they going to go draft? They're going to go draft the guy that can also play tackle. And guess what? Donnie has showed that against the best of the best. And that's why his draft stock is risen. And he's a champion. He's selfless. He embodies what it means to be a Buckeye. All right, go to most deserving champion right below that, Pat. So this is a great little take. And again, it's just an illustration of the gauntlet that was Ohio State. So if you think about it, Indiana, okay, boom. You had Penn State, we had Penn State, boom. Then you had Indiana, boom. Then you go into the run, Tennessee, okay, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame. Look at that thing. Look at it. It's a thing of beauty. They're the only team to have beaten top five teams throughout that run outside of, and that's the thing, like, is Notre Dame really 7? They were 7 on the bracket. Wouldn't they be like 1 and 2 in this? I say they are, but they would have beaten the record held by the 2019 LSU Tigers when they went on that run for a national championship. But guys, that right there is a gauntlet, something that you can't understate. I'm trying to go into the things. Pace is the best offensive line ever, no doubt. Donnie was important. Yeah, Orlando Pace, solo Schlegs. I absolutely appreciate that. I'm going to go to this one. Let's go to the next one below, and let's go to Ryan Day's team focus coming to work. And I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, and I love this quote from Ryan, and you're going to have to cut me off, Pat, because I got no clue. Okay. Our guy, Pat, Project Pat, that's not what we call him, but that's what I'm calling him right now. Ohio State has more wins versus AP top 10s this season than Notre Dame has had since 1989. That's pretty bumpy. All right, so, and that's not a comparison and contrast against Notre Dame. It's just a fact. But this quote from Ryan Day, we're like trained rats. We just come to work and figure out what the next mission is. I think our team is fresh right now. If we had to, we could continue to play for a few more weeks. So let's go into what that means. The battle of attrition, the battle of being able to have depth. When you have a Jermaine Matthews, when you have a Jordan Hancock, and I'm going to give you guys a little snapshot, and Pat, remind me to go back to this. I just want you guys to understand how important a Lorenzo Style and a Jordan Hancock have played this season in Caleb Downs' terms of what Caleb does. Caleb is a football player, and you guys know how much we love Lathan Ransom. He comes on the show. He's my dog, all right? Lathan plays a great free safety. Caleb just has a knack for the ball. And if you notice, playing 3 safeties, Jordan being one of them, Lathan being the other one, that allowed Caleb to come down into the box. And what that meant was you saw different parts of the season that Cody might jump out and be a curl flat player. Well, who was your hook curl player, that middle player? That was Caleb. So if you're thinking about run fits and you're calling out Mike's as a center, who are you going to say is the Mike? Right? If I call it out and I say, hey, Cody Simon's the Mike, but he's actually playing the outside fit, the true Mike is Caleb Downs. You never know where their run support was. That's what allowed this kind of 3 safety shell look and the versatility of a Jordan Hancock and a Lorenzo Styles, but also the football acumen of Sonny and Cody to be able to understand where my fits are. Where's my guy coming down? Is he coming down outside of me? Okay, he's a curl flat player. I'm a hook curl player. If he's coming down and we're playing man, who does he have? Who do I have? Where are my run fits? Ball to my side. That's all happening like this, but it also puts a lot of pressure onto the quarterback and the center as to who you're going to declare as your Mike, because that allows you, like, who are we going to block? Who are we going to get to the second level? Well, I got to get to Cody. Well, Cody's all the way out there. He's actually playing, quote unquote, like a Sam. He's your outside guy. Well, now Caleb comes in. He's a free hitter. And you saw Lathan come in a couple times as a free hitter, and they can interchange those guys because they had such a high football acumen. All right, 1 minute, then final thoughts. All right, great. So back to this quote. I think, guys, this is something that happens when you have a veteran team, and this right here will be the one thing that you have to work on every single day in the offseason once this veteran team is gone. And you're already turning the page, and they need to celebrate this. They will have a meritocracy. That means guys that played a lot, they're going to be oozed into that winter conditioning slower than guys that didn't play a lot, right? That's where the meritocracy happens. So as you do this, this will be the one thing that I thought these guys did a great job. Maurice Clarett talked about it when we had him on the podcast earlier about the seriousness of which these guys handle their job of being a college football player. It was day in and day out. These guys were the exact same. I put in the chat of why I love Fryer so much. He was just the same guy all the time. I used to look when I was warming up the quarterbacks and we did like a RPR, like growing rub, and I looked right in their eyes, made it super uncomfortable. But like they had fun, but there was also seriousness about what they were doing and why they were doing it and who they were doing it with. And that will be the hardest thing to make sure that we have moving forward in the 2025 season is this mindset of like being able to go understand what the mission is and do everything I possibly can to accomplish the mission, where that's sleep, nutrition, hydration, training, studying film, practice, all of those different things, the seriousness of which they went about their job day in and day out, I think is why they were able to achieve a national championship. The great thing is, from all of the young guys, they've now been able to see it and they understand what is necessary to win a national championship in 2025, that being for the Buckeyes in 2024. All right, so we're going to take a break. Bob Stella McAfee, I'm going to hit you with my parting thoughts. Poof, David Copperfield, go Bucks, Bobby Carpenter Show.
Welcome to Big Play, the fastest growing sports media company in America.
I'm gonna keep it straight with you. The reason you should watch our show is because I look good, baby.
Come get some!
Join our millions of fans for live sports talk shows hosted by the top former athletes and sports personalities in the industry.
Ohio, it's my home state.
Obviously, I'm a diehard Cleveland sports fan.
Watch what you want, where you want, when you want. Welcome to Big Play.
Make sure you tune in.
I love you, Cleveland.
All right, back to the Bobby Carpenter Show. Bob's on the McAfee Show, so I'm by myself. Pat, throw up the thing about Q about this place is different. Poof, David Copperfield, let's go.
And the unity, you have a unique perspective coming from Ole Miss to Ohio State. Can you describe the culture and the unity and connected nature of your team?
This place is different. Like, that's what I would say. Like, this place is different, man. And so many different group of guys from so many different places. It takes a special type of person to come to Ohio State and play. And our locker room is so close, and the players here are so special, man. And that's what truly matters. And I think that's why we're at the point we're at now, because those guys, we actually care about each other and we actually want to go out there and win. So that means so much to each and every one of us.
Boom. So I'm just going to speak on this. He said this place is different. I chose to come to Ohio State having transferred from the Air Force Academy. I came to Ohio State because it was the most similar to that brotherhood of the academies. Q is feeling that too. When everybody is in there wanting to serve each other, wanting to be better, not being shy about competitive excellence, but wanting to compete for a spot, understanding that competition breeds excellence and everything we do is going out there to put the best team on the field, regardless of where you are. That's special. They truly do care about each other. And when you care about each other, that doesn't mean you don't want to go get yours, but you also see what you're competing against. And you have real conversations with your coaches that are transparent of where you stand. It just bodes well in 2025. And it's great for me as a former Buckeye that I can articulate this to you. And we've seen it from guys that come in, the Josh Simmons, the Seths, the Calebs, the Qs of the world, that this place is different. It should make you very, very proud to be a Buckeye. It should make you proud to want to support the Buckeyes and everything that they did this year being the 2024 national champions. With that, Bobby Carpenter Show, we're done. We're out. We'll be on tomorrow at noon because Bobby has some things and I just structure my schedule accordingly. So does Pat. Appreciate you guys watching. See you tomorrow. Go Bucks. Natty.